Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. I, of course, am Hammer, founder of Hammer Solutions, home of great products such as Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, and Rate Sensei. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, broadcasted to you on Facebook and YouTube, where we talk all about what's going on in the markets with rates and pricing and all that good stuff. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you are watching on the replay, do me a favor, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. I get all kinds of analytics showing me hundreds and hundreds of people watch this, and I don't think that's the case at all. So when you give me hashtag replay, I know you actually watched it and you actually cared. If you'd like to join me live and you don't want to miss a moment of the show, make sure you sign up for our text reminder. I send that out as I'm going live each day. You can sign up to get that text with the links so you don't miss a moment at hmmr.io/reminder, or use this cool QR code over here. It is a trigger lead, so you're going to get like 97 texts about how you can save money on car insurance or protect your car with a warranty. I need to finance the show. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do any of that. In fact, I probably should hit y'all up to buy my shit, and I don't do that either. So also, the daily lock advice. I was this close to finishing it this morning. I'm feeling a little verbose, though, so I've gotten a little long. So that'll go out in a moment, but sign up to get those texts to your inbox each and every weekday morning. And also, days like yesterday where those reprices were coming, we are forced to send out text alerts to remind everybody to protect their pipeline. If you would like to sign up for those, they're $7 a month. We give you a morning text with what's going on at 10 a.m.-ish Eastern time. And then we give you an afternoon text with a wrap up. And then when there's reprice risk, we send you out a text for that. So go check that stuff out. Don't forget, we also have Originator Success to help you get found online. If you'd like to get loans from Google, AI search, don't try to do all this crap yourself, y'all. I got to tell you, I see way too many originators that are trying to get it to cash in on the AI thing, and it is a swamp. Don't get caught in the swamp. Let someone else do it for you. Spend a few dollars, make, as Carl White used to say. I know he didn't invent it, but I give him credit because it's the one that resonated with me. Was write little checks to cash big checks. Right. So also don't forget, if you want to build your presence online, Grab and Go Social. If you want to get loans from social media, learn more about that at grabandgosocial.com. All right. Enough of that stuff. Let's go ahead and say hi to the live folks, and then we'll jump in and get started. A lot to cover today. Good morning, Sean Segaloff, Megan Bissell, Nicole Semerad, Zane. Good morning, sir. And Ms. Amy, Kathy Jensen, Jerry Avila, Angela Walters, Greta Cheney, Deb Dickinson, Randy Teakle. Randy Teakle giving me an awesome, testimonial. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. Best investment for certain for Originator Success. So y'all check that out. And thank you, Mr. Teakle. I appreciate you a lot for that. Mike Tebow, good morning, sir. Holly Johnson. Yes, from Wesson, sunny San Diego. And then Ron Siegel said, today's National Top Gun Day. That is awesome. I think they're making Top Gun 3. I actually think it'll be good. 2 was one of the best sequels I think I've seen. And then today is National Apple Pie Day. Who loves some apple pie? And is it a la mode or not a la mode? It's been a while since I've thrown a question of the day up. Let's go ahead and do it. Apple Pie Day. So apple pie a la mode or no ice cream? What do you think, y'all? That is the question of the day. This is important. These are the issues that face us today that we must know. If you're having apple pie, are we going a la mode or no ice cream? Are we just doing whipped cream? Or is it that non-dairy whipped topping shit that everyone is in the store? That is just sugar, and what is it made out of that it's non-dairy whipped topping? That's gross. If you're going to have whipped cream, whip the cream. Heavy cream, a little bit of sugar, whipped cream. Not this you can even do it. They've got the little things now. You can do it on Amazon. They're like CO2, and you can make your own whipped cream. It's super easy. Don't eat that non-dairy shit. It's gross. It should just say non-food. Non-food. That's gross. So y'all go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get started. I will start off with the technicals. Let me pull up the screen, and we'll get to the good part here. Let's go ahead and share the screen. Come over here. Let's remove the Econ calendar. Let's go ahead and pull up Presentify. All right. So Let's zoom in. Will allow us to. Nope, just got to refresh the page. Don't worry, I'm almost there. All right, starting with the technicals this morning. Let's take a look at what we got going on. You could see that we are currently down about a basis point on the 5.5 coupon. I am starting to look at the 5.5 coupon like what we were talking about yesterday. If we look at the 5.0, it's same thing. So it's not a huge difference right now, but we're turning a corner. So the 6 is still a little that's too far away. You see, there's more volatility. See how there's more volatility? It goes down and up and down and up and down compared to, say, the 5.5, which right here is when the wholesale inflation data came out, which we'll talk about in a minute. Or you can look at the 5.0 and see it's a very similar shape, right? It's very similar. So there's not a big difference, y'all, if we're looking at them. But I do want to start moving over to this 5.5, currently at 100.23, and it's fighting its way back to par at the moment. The 10-year Treasury yield, though, is gross 4.47. Remember, we round up this last column. So 4.47. Even if you want to call it 4.46, since we're so close to the tick, still not good. Back in March, we had 4.43 right here. This was kind of our high point, and we are higher than that now. So thankfully, the margin between mortgage-backed securities and the 10-year have improved a little bit. So we're actually seeing better pricing than when the 10-year was there, if we take a look. So anyway, if we recap what happened yesterday, and then we'll kind of keep going. Taking a look at what happened yesterday, you could see that we started the day. Here was where we had that CPI data. Notice that we actually improved a little bit. It was almost like a little bit of a relief rally after that CPI data yesterday morning, even though it came in weak, but it didn't last long. We saw a big dip here, and we saw things just continue to move down. We can argue about what actually caused that. It's certainly not the CPI data. It's more along the lines of just what's going on with everything with Iran, progress, what markets are pricing in. They're currently pricing in the idea that there's not going to be any Fed rate cuts this year at all. If we take a look over here at the Fed Watch tool and we look at June, expectations of a Fed rate cut don't exist. 100% expectation in June that things will stay the same. By the way, yesterday, Kevin Warsh did get confirmed by the Senate and was officially added as a Fed governor to the Fed. So he is now officially a part. Sorry, I'm messing with the screen. Move this over a little bit. Let me get a little smaller head. Here we are. He is officially a part of the Fed now. He has not been voted in as the Fed chair, although that is expected to happen. But that is what has currently happened. He was confirmed yesterday, and he took Moran's position, which, if you remember, Moran was the one that was constantly voting for Fed rate cuts because he truly was just a sock puppet. But markets don't think Warsh is going to be able to look for rate cuts. If we look at July, no rate cuts. If we look at September, it's the first time you even see an inkling of movement, but it's not rate cuts, it's rate hikes. Remember, everything on this side, this would be a higher Fed funds rate. As we get into October, the idea that we will see a rate hike goes higher. As we get into December, it is all the way up to a 35% expectation of a Fed rate hike. Not cut. And that's because of inflation and everything that is happening with inflation. They're talking about by January that there's almost a 50% expectation of a rate hike. So markets are currently pricing in the idea that the Fed is going to have to hike rates, not cut them. Doesn't matter how Trumpy wants to stamp his feet and insist on Fed rate cuts. It's just not likely to happen. One of the reasons why it's not likely to happen, why are we not going to see these kinds of things? Well, here's your answer right here. Yesterday, we saw CPI inflation 3.8%. Today, we are seeing producer price indexes, wholesale inflation rise the most since 2022 on, what do you think? That's right, energy costs. Wholesale inflation accelerated in April to the fastest pace since 2022 on I love what the war-driven increase in energy prices. So the reality is wholesale inflation goes up. That means retail inflation follows because If it costs more to buy goods and make goods, it's going to cost more to the consumer when they sell those goods. So that's what we're looking at here. And that's why you saw the reaction this morning. You could see that. Let me pull this up a little bit so you guys can hold on a second. It's hard to. There it is. Okay. So we saw that reaction this morning right here. Bonds dipped. Before that data came out, we were around 100.23. Data came out 100.15. I mean, so you're talking about dropping 8 basis points, and they've since recovered that. So this is why we don't really panic about that data coming out in the morning, and we didn't make any changes yesterday to that outlook because markets already know that it's bad. So keep that in mind. But today, rate sheets are going to be worse. We've seen rates go up about 1/8 of a point already this month. I'm sorry, this week. Ending last week, here we were 6.42. Now we are up to 6.56. That is 0.125-ish. And 0.125 is 1/8 of a point in rate. So we have seen rates creeping up this week. That's unlikely to change. We're not likely to see that reverse course anytime soon. When we look at what's going on, the only thing that's going to bring that down is if oil prices drop. Oil prices aren't going to drop when we're looking at all of this stuff here. U.S.-Iran standoff lengthens as Trump reiterates the war threat. So I'm going to come back to this one in a moment. Let's go to Mr. Trump, or President Trump, give him his proper title. He did earn it. In China, President Trump did land in China, but it was 8 p.m. there. It's about 9:45 p.m. there now. There's a 12-hour time difference between U.S. East Coast time and Chinese time. So not going to see anything happen until 12 hours from now was when they'll actually have their daytime stuff going on. But he did arrive in Beijing. Before he went, though, he did find time to go ahead and threaten Iran as usual, saying that Iran will either make a good deal or face devastation. Everybody reacted very strongly the first time he said this, but he said it so many times now that nobody's even really blinking an eye, including Iran. Iran is saying that they're not going to even bother coming to the table to talk about this stuff until they start getting some reparations. I don't know if that's on this article, looking to see where I forgot exactly where I read that one. But I mean, they says it will only open Hormuz will only do that if Washington ends a naval blockade on Iranian ports, which shows that I wish we'd done this blockade sooner because it's the thing that's hurting them more than anything. It also insists the U.S. unfreeze billions of dollars of Iranian assets, lift sanctions, and I don't think any of that's going to happen. So it's just not looking good. Now, last week, or early in the week rather, Trump did say a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is currently on massive life support. The scary thing is when you look at what, I don't know if any of this is legit or if this is just crappy data that's been, that's been leaked. But again, this is supposed to be, classified information, but they're saying Iran has access to 30 of its 33 missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz and has retained roughly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile. They were blasting drones and missiles like crazy. Are you telling me they only used 30% of what they have access, like what they have stockpiled? That is kind of scary, not for us in America, because no, they're not going to hit us, but for just causing chaos everywhere around there, continuing to keep all these boats. And again, I'm wondering what's going to happen. These ships are running out of food. They've been there for, how long now? They're going to need to do something. Could you imagine being stranded on a boat right now and just, you're right there, but you can't, no food, or you're running out of food, running out of, all this stuff. It's just not good, man. So something's got to happen to this. It's not going to happen while Trump is in China, but when he gets back, there's speculation that we could see some things start to kick up on this. So we will see where things go. Risk-free prices today is moderate. Stances haven't changed. Rate outlook, if you're locking in, if you've got anything closing the next couple of weeks, we're looking at locking because we've seen things creep lower. Today We're up 1 basis point on the day, so that looks exciting. That says give us a reason to go ahead and start the day cautiously floating. But even then, if you want to cautiously float, but what are the chances of seeing a reprice better today? They're somewhere between slim and none. We'd have to be up 20, 25 basis points today to see that. And there's nothing to push bonds to that much improvement. They may creep up a few basis points, 6, 7, 8 basis points, but that's not going to be enough to get better pricing. And are we going to see better pricing over the next couple of days? It's possible, but not probable. You're still scraping at crumbs, and anything is closing the next 15 to 30 days. Cautiously float, but I'm almost leaning into lock. I really am. I'm popping that on here now. I'm leaning into a lock on this one. Only here I'll say only consider floating really aggressive loans that will gamble. Because what you have to say is, what do we have to see happen for rates to be better 2 weeks from now, 2.5 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now? And we have to see progress with the Strait of Hormuz being open. Will we see that? I don't know. It's, instead, what happens if we see escalation? What if we do see military action, restart? What if we see Trump come back from China and we see bombing start? I don't think that's going to happen, but there's speculation that it could. But what if next week it happens? What if the week after that it happens? And that's kind of where we're at. So it's really hard to feel good about floating. Anything's 30 plus days. That one, we're still in a cautiously floating stance, but just because of how expensive it is to lock loans, that are farther out. If you have the ability to, if they're risk averse, lock them. This is not optimal pricing, but refinance them later. So let's go ahead and see your comments. Let's see where you guys were at. So Megan Bissell, she's going apple pie with ice cream. Mike Morano, good morning, sir. Nicole Semerad, all the ice cream, baby. Avila, always with ice cream. Apple pie only if it has a sugar crust and Cool Whip. Dude, you're going with that non-dairy topping. Cool Whip, that non-dairy topping. But I know it's how grandma served it. Ice cream is a must with apple pie. I'm with Laura. I think Laura is right on that one. Ron said, tell us how you really feel. Yeah, I'm in that mood today. I chose violence. I'm good with it. Randy says, as long as it's a really good homemade apple pie, you can't go wrong either way. I'll agree with that, my friend. Angela Walters, a la mode for sure. Lattice crust. You getting all bougie on me, Tebow. A la mode all the way for Diana. Thank you, Diana. Let's see. What drives that margin? I'm sorry, 940. What was I rambling about then that we were talking about the margin? If you ask me again, Randy, I'll see if I can actually answer that question. Maybe no rate cut is a good thing. The last few caused rates to rise. Well, yeah, they rise when things get. If we head into a recession with the economy slowing, why would rates increase? I know, Ron, that's what I said too. Hey, I'm just saying what the markets are. Markets don't think we're going to go into a recession yet. I haven't really heard that word. I think we're going to go into a recession. I had said this to Ron yesterday, that I think we'll see a recession come in the second half of the year. And as Ron pointed out, it won't be a deep recession. I don't think it'll be a deep recession either. I just think we need to see a little bit of a reset. I think oil prices have gotten to be so crazy high. And no, I don't believe that full stockpile info. If that info was out there, why wouldn't locations already been hit? I have a question of validity. I agree with you. Anything that you're reading through the media, come on. Do we really get to see that? Food could be dropped onto those ships by helicopter drops. That's true. Hopefully someone coordinates that. Hopefully somebody coordinates that. These are things that you just never hear about. Don't know if you're going on. Loan closing June 26th, lock or float. Tiffany, again, depending on the consumer, their risk tolerance, and how much it would cost you, June 26th is 45 days-ish from here. So, the problem is that before it felt like we had a cap on how high rates could go, right? If we look back, let me share the screen and we'll take a look at something together and we'll answer Tiffany's question the best I can. So looking here, when we look back at, kind of flip these off. Let's roll this. We don't need 30 years or 40 years. We just want this, right? So back in March, We had our worst rates right up here. We're headed up that way again. I do think we're probably going to at least touch up on that. Remember, that was 6.64 according to Mortgage News Daily. I think we're going to get back up there. The question is, when we peak, do we come back down? And really, it becomes a situation of risk tolerance. Do we see something happen? 45 days, do we see progress with Iran? Do we see an actual ceasefire? Does the Strait of Hormuz open? That's a lot of time for something to happen. This thing's dragged on for so long already. And how much worse could it get? Where will rates really go? I think we touched the March highs and right around there, but I don't think they'll go higher than that. I mean, I don't think we're going to see rates go into the sevens. So I would float something closing that long. There's a lot that can happen. I think we're at the higher side of the range. Even if rates move higher, I don't think it's going to be any that much worse than what you would get if you locked without that extra window. So again, without having a crystal ball, just taking a stab at things because of the time, I'm on that one. Mike Morano, UWM's 1-0 buy down, helping you secure 3 new loans. Yeah, and then, but who's paying the buy down? Is it paid for by the lender? So it's basically in the rate, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's terrible." Well, if you refinance them in a year, it's really not terrible. If they're getting the benefit of a better rate, and you do it with this idea that rates will likely come down again eventually, and move lower, then it's not necessarily a bad idea. So don't be so quick to dismiss, for sure. Thanks for sharing that, Mike. Hopefully someone else will benefit from it as well. So, all right, y'all, 22 minutes in, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the day. If you didn't tell us your choice, does anyone out there like naked apple pie? Anyone else like their apple pie naked? I don't. UWM is paying, but their rates are 50 to 100 bips higher than other lenders. Yeah, I mean, so if you're getting a 1.0 buy down and it only brings you down to a comparable rate, well, then of course that doesn't make any sense. It has to be better than that. So that's the thing. Well, hey, and maybe some people are getting more aggressive rates and aren't getting the same thing. I know that UWM does have preferential rates for some lenders, so could be the case. So, all right, y'all. Well, I hope you have a fantastic day. We'll see where today goes. Hopefully, you'll join me tomorrow, Thursday, and we'll see what's happening with jobless claims. We'll take a look and see if we get any news out of China, if anything changes with Iran, which it probably won't. And you can see what hat I'm going to wear tomorrow, because today I'm wearing my Outback Trading Company oilskin hat. Which generally I reserve these for when the weather is wet, but it happened to be the first thing I grabbed this morning. So that's what I'm wearing. All right. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make it a great one. Bye-bye.